All right, so the last part, I'm going to share with you my top 10 websites for English language learners. These are either low or no prep. They would be best for your students who are like A1 level, who really are having trouble participating in your class full time. These are sites that you can send students to either on their phone or on a tablet or on a computer if you've got it. And they can have something to do in class while strengthening their English. Please keep in mind that you should give them targeted goals around this. So if you are going to send a student to a website, tell them to listen for something specific or to give you a summary of what they've learned. Whatever it happens to be, don't just send them off and then never check in with them again. That's going to lead to all sorts of problems, like them feeling disconnected from class, which then would lead them to maybe not show up to class all of the time. So the more connected you can make them feel, but also give them something specific to work on, the better. So they feel like you care about what they're learning. So I'm just going to come up here to Chrome. So the first one is newsinslowenglish.com. I actually listen to the podcast News in Slow French, and it is exactly what it says. So these hosts tell you the news in slow English that's easily accessible. For students, I would say even your B1 students, because there are a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 vocabulary words in here that might be new to them. Then there are things to go along with it. So the story, then grammar and expressions, pronunciation, quizzes, that whole thing. And they can read along as well, which is really helpful. They've got a huge back catalog, great for the humanities, but also if you're teaching science and you need something for that student to do while you do kind of maybe an intensive lecture on Mendel, I don't know, then you can send them here. The next one is for COVID. Audible has made a bunch of low-level English books free. English audiobooks. So some of them are very young, for children, but also some of them are for teens. So we've got, if you go into the teen books, there's all sorts of English books that they can listen to in your class, and they can participate in the English language arts outcomes in this way as well. So just because a student isn't reading at grade level, we have lots of students who aren't reading at grade level, doesn't mean that they can't access and find success in the content. So maybe they respond to this book and in their first language, or they respond to this book, the questions in a simplified way, whatever it happens to be. So definitely check that out. It's going to be free, I think, for the rest of the school year at least. The next is more for content area classes or for background building. Wikipedia actually has Simple Wikipedia, which is exactly, again, what it claims to be. So if I click on this Jupiter article, it really, really sums up Jupiter in its most important form. So while I wouldn't recommend sending students to Wikipedia for a variety of reasons, if you're looking for a student just to get an overview of a topic and to find something really simple to translate, so they could pop this into their translation tools, or they could read it with Natural Reader, have it read to them, rather than pages and pages and pages of text. Sending them here, reading something really basic that's probably going to be accurate, because it just will be, then that's a good alternative, I guess, to like big chunks of text and of the textbook. Okay, the next website is really nice because it breaks down lessons into beginner, elementary, pre-intermediate, intermediate. So use your discretion, but students could also navigate this site themselves. And it's got all kinds of different resources for students. So for example, listening activities, You can click them, and then they've got a listening part with a video in this one, and then a little multiple choice quiz along with it. So incredibly low prep for you, but also really targeting what the student needs in their English language journey. In a similar vein, CBC has CBC Learn English, their website. This is nice because it's all not local, but it's all Canadian content, or mostly Canadian content. They give their language levels as CLB, which is Canadian Language Benchmark. We use the CEFR. I'm not sure the correlation between the two, but you could look it up, or I could look it up if you had questions. So there's level 1s, level 2s, and then past lessons. Again, super low prep. Tells you the level here, outdoor dining in winter, everything is about COVID, and it gives you the transcript. And like I said, that's really helpful if you can read along and make those associations between what you're hearing and what you're seeing. ISL Collective is a teacher-submitted worksheet site. So it's in my top 10 because there's so much on it that you're guaranteed to find something useful. But the issue with ISL Collective is, one, you don't want to just be printing worksheets for your students to do anytime anyway. They're not very engaging, and they don't really teach anything. They just kind of reinforce what you already know, or else you wouldn't be able to do the worksheet to begin with. The second thing is, sometimes they're submitted by language learners, so they might have errors in them. So use your discretion. But certainly, if there is a day where, you just really need a lesson really quickly for these students and you don't have anything to give them, ISL Collective would be my go-to website. You can look up anything like, I don't know, biology worksheets, and then you're going to find all sorts of different things. The cell, and again, use your discretion. Look them over first, because, disclaimer, I have no control over what people are putting on the website, but I still really like it. I think that there might be a cap on how much you can download before you have to submit something of your own, but you can easily just... And then I guess a bonus website that is also an app, and that I would probably use more often as an app, is Duolingo. So again, if you've got an A1 in your class and you need something for them to do in class that is effective, that's going to teach them English, it's going to be targeted, then Duolingo is where you want to go. It gamifies language learning and hits all 4 domains. The program can take you, I guess, to an A2 speaker in whatever language you want. So the trick here is that your site language, you're going to want to move into a different language, whatever your student's first language is. So if it's German, they want to learn English. So you're going to have to figure out, or give them access to the site so that they can read it, what the buttons mean. So I know, because I looked at the English website first, this means log in. I want to learn English. And then you pick your target. So like, what do you want to learn this language for? Do you want to learn it for, oh look, I'll use my Google Translate. There. So do I want to learn the language just for school, for travel, for culture, whatever it is? Say I want to do it for travel. They're going to want to use it for school. Then it's going to break it down into their goals for language learning, how much time they want to spend, and then it gives them points. So it's really super easy site to use, and it's really, really effective for language learners to learn independently in your class. So I recommend that to a lot of teachers. Okay. From here, We've got Teach This. I would recommend it for EAL teachers and EAL mentors, but there's also a lot of pre-built lessons in here. If you could do a mini lesson with a student on the side, so you notice, like, for example, they're not doing subject-verb agreement well, which I think is a high school-wide issue. There's a worksheet that you can download, and then it tells you how to teach it. You could just use the worksheet if you wanted to. It also breaks lessons down, as you can see, into elementary, pre-intermediate, and intermediate. So really great for your elementary students. By the time you're hitting pre-intermediate, they should be participating in class the majority of the time anyway. So you might not use this so much, but kind of to each his own, I guess, to use your own discretion and your professional judgment around when you should use any of these sites. Rewordify is a tool to use that will simplify difficult English. So if I take a document, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, my favorite document today, and copy a section of it, along the lines of simple Wikipedia, you don't want to be translating huge blocks of text. So they've changed some of the difficult words. Desire, they move to want to. Scandal, they define. And you can see frowning, they replaced with sneer, which is probably a harder word. But it gives alternatives. It will rewordify the language and paraphrase it. Sometimes it's easier to understand. And in any case, it's giving definitions of some of the more difficult words. So you're good to go. You can also click, as you can see, on any of the words in the text, and it will give you the definition. Way easier than getting the big Webster's English Dictionary out and looking up the word. You can pop it in here, or you can have your students do it. Randalls ESL Cyber Listening Lab always kind of makes me laugh, because Randall is just a man who's probably an ESL teacher, and he's made all of these audio lessons just on his own independently, and sometimes there will be, like, you know, you can hear that it's probably his kids that are acting in these little voice lessons. So this is all listening. These are all listening activities. You can browse by difficulty, and then a million different things that students can listen to. Trivia game show, let's go there. And so this will be him acting like they're listening to a trivia game show. It's kind of fun. And then again, he's got follow-up activities for the students as well. So you could print those off, or they could just do them. You could have an assignment be like, okay, on Tuesday you go to Randall's ESL Listening Lab and you do 3 of the listening activities, and then you summarize one of them to either a friend or to me, whatever, as long as there's some sort of assessment, informally or formally, formative or summative, at the end of that activity. But I really like this website. It's recently been all redone, and it looks way better. And then the last one is news in levels. So this is world news for students of English. Again, so maybe you've got an A1.1 in your class all the way up to an A2 in your class, and you want to give them similar things to do. You can go here and print out each of these at different levels, give them to the students, maybe put them in a group together, and then they can work away on, listen to jokes and levels, and then they can work away on what they've read or what they've listened to that day. Okay. And then I guess a bonus website that is also an app, and that I would probably use more often as an app, is Duolingo. So again, if you've got an A1 in your class and you need something for them to do in class that is effective, that's going to teach them English, it's going to be targeted, then Duolingo is where you want to go. It gamifies language learning and hits all 4 domains. The program can take you, I guess, to an A2 speaker in whatever language you want. So the trick here is that your sight language, you're going to want to move into a different language, whatever your student's first language is. So if it's German, they want to learn English. So you're going to have to figure out or give them access to the site so that they can read it, what the buttons mean. So I know because I looked at the English website first, this means log in. I want to learn English. And then you pick your target. So like, what do you want to learn this language for? Do you want to learn it for, oh look, I'll use my Google Translate. There. So do I want to learn the language just for school, for travel, for culture, whatever it is? Say I want to do it for travel. They're going to want to use it for school. Then it's going to break it down into their goals for language learning, how much time they want to spend, and then it gives them points. So it's really super easy site to use, and it's really, really effective for language learners to learn independently in your class. So I recommend that to a lot of teachers. Hi, I'm back. It's a different day, different hairstyle. While I was editing this video, it reminded me of the Duolingo CEFR checker, which is a really helpful tool for teachers as well. So I thought that I would show you that. So this video is slowly becoming my top 20 websites. So what you do is copy and paste a text into this box. You go to this website, copy it into this box, and Duolingo uses AI to rank all of the words and put them in their appropriate CEFR level. So this is great if you're trying to find vocabulary to pre-teach, or if you're wondering, can a student read this? Is it basic enough? The standard Lexile levels are difficult to correlate to language learners because the head words that English speakers have and the head words that language learners have are different, and it's normed for native speakers. Same goes for the Fontes and Pinnell kits. So this has a language learning focus, so it deals with the CEFR. So if I look at the text, 55% of it is easy enough for an A1 to understand, but you need to understand between 95 and 97% of a text in order to comprehend it fully. So after or any lower than 95%, our comprehension begins to break down. But if I look, the C words are all tier 3 and tier 2. So these are words that the student could be taught in advance or could look up. If you gave them to them bolded or highlighted, they could look them up, and that would enhance their comprehension. Same goes for the B2. So we're seeing like the names of planets and some tier 2 vocabulary like brightest, object, moons, diameter. So those are helpful words to know as well. So it's not that probably an A1 couldn't access this text, but an A2 or a B1 could be pre-taught enough and given enough opportunities to practice or to read again and again that they could get kind of the gist of this text. You might also want to just simplify it or put, a word box at the top of the page. So this ends up being a really invaluable tool if you're asking your students to read academic text in class. It just sorts it so easily. So highly recommend. Top 12.